For the windrows, we're going to have to go to the Hydra website. But first, I just want to kind of, before I transition out of this diagram, I want to talk about it real fast to identify what we're going to analyze. So when I look at this diagram, I see a particular 3-month period that has a very heavy load for cooling requirements, right? So what I'm looking at here is that while there's a little bit of cooling in May and June, it's not an overwhelming demand. It's July, August, and September that has an overwhelming demand for cooling, at least in my opinion, by what I'm seeing. In fact, you might have to design this range a little bit differently because April, May, and June, and then a little bit of October, and that's kind of negligible, but a little bit of October, they have sort of a secondary range of cooling that you would design for too. But basically, if you design for this, you'd be fine. So as I get into the windrows, I'm going to do July, August, and September. So let's transition over to the Hydra website.
How do you get there again?
That's a good question.
That's you problem.
So just if you, yeah, I know it's a tough one because it's not a simple website, but if you just search for Ladybug and Hydra, or Ladybug Honeybee actually, either one. So you go to the Ladybug and Honeybee homepage on grasshopper3d.com, and then you go down here to example files for Ladybug. So that'll take you to the Hydra portal on GitHub. And we're going to basically do just a simple windrows for right now. Okay, so we'll get into some other analyses later on, but if you go to windrows, this is the one we're going to download. So please do that now. I already have, so show in folder. Remember, when it's zipped, you have to take the file out of the zip drive, put it into your folder structure somewhere in order to use it.
Just one that says is this a new assignment?
What's that?
Is this a new assignment?
Yeah. Oh, also, this is a good time to mention that Iggy and I have been talking about the design class a little bit and integrating our drawings now into the design class. So beginning with this assignment, even though right now we're just doing analysis and it doesn't have your design in it, when I do require a drawing with your building in it, it's going to be your design building. Okay. I know you're not in it. You're not in design right now, are you?
No.
You're not in the design class right now? You are? Who's not in the design class right now? Okay. I thought there was one more. But okay. All right. So yeah, those of you who are in the design class, you'll use your design projects, and I'll give you a project to use. Okay. All right. So the windrows. You should have it in your folder structure by now. I already do. So when you open it up, in fact, oh, I don't have it open. That's right. I closed everything. Now I don't remember where I put it. All right, so basically you can just drag it into, oh, gotta see it here. You can just drag it into your workspace and open it from there. Which folder is it? There we go.
Just drag it onto the one that we have open right?
Yeah. I think we've only used this maybe once, so I'll just talk about it again real fast as a refresher once it loads. Your file that you had open before opening this one is still open. Unlike Rhino, where you can only have one project open at a time, this one, yeah, no, I hate it. But this one actually has all of them queued up here, which is pretty nifty. That's fine if you closed it too, as long as you saved it. So now we can switch back and forth between the two if you need to. You shouldn't really need to, but we can. So my suggestion to us now at this point would be to familiarize yourself with the components that are in the definition, right? And what you'll notice is that there's kind of a common theme, right? We're working with an EPW file. We have the actual Ladybug component right there. That's fine. The path is actually pointing to something else, so we'll override that later. And this happens pretty often where they use the open EPW and stat files, and then they just grab the EPW file from there.
Mine's not like that, though.
Yours isn't?
What did you grab? Did you grab view rows or win rows?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, go grab the right one.
Oh, wait. Oh, I call it.
So,
I got view rows.
yeah, that's the wrong one. So moving on here, guys, we've got, this is just the README stuff that's in here. Don't worry about it.
Can we delete that?
You know, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it does yet, so I just leave it there. And then in import EPW, right, this is where you got all of your dry bulb temperature, everything like that. That's fine. This one is actually plugged in from wind speed and wind direction. So notice how you need both to do a windrows. And so here is the actual windrows component. So you're going to need to program in what north is going to be. So if your building is modeled at a different angle or something like that, you can actually adjust the direction of north so that you can analyze it in real time with your building if you wanted to. Hourly wind direction, wind speed, those are your connections. Don't worry about hourly data. Analysis period is going to be significant for us. We are going to override what the period is because the windrows actually starts off with, and let's find it on here. There it is. It actually starts off with the entire year. So notice how this one, while we haven't put our connection in there yet, our file, it's reading from 1st of January to 31st of December. So we will have to modify that at some point.
Because you only need summer ones, so when you know when they're cool.
That's what we're analyzing first, right?
Yeah. Well, we already know. So that's, yeah, you only need to analyze the summer months, but it's not so you know when to cool because we've used the other diagram to figure out when. Now we have a diagram that, and this isn't correct for our site, but looks like this. And that's throughout the entire year. So you don't know if this really powerful wind that's coming in from the south is in the summer or winter or anything like that. Okay. So, and then working backwards, this one you're familiar with too. It's legend par, and then you've got, you know, some gradient stuff and colors and everything like that. So you guys are familiar with this by now. You can take bits and pieces from the legend par on the other diagram and copy it over. For instance, your gradient, your colors, right? Whatever you're using can be plugged in here and used. So here's what we have to do. The first step is replace the file. And then the second step would be to establish the range. It's really that simple. So we'll replace the file, or I'll replace the file by eliminating that, because I don't need the panel to tell me what the file is. I know what the file is. And I'm just going to take path, replace the connection, and in the EPW input. So right click on path, go to set one file path, and navigate to the weather data that we're going to be using. I think we're using the one from Chino. Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna use Chino now?
Yeah, we're using Chino now. So I think it's right now under LBHB and under weather data. In this folder right here, Chino. So go ahead and open that up. And just take a moment to plug it into EPW file. And this is an override connection. You don't want to add it in because then it's going to give you two diagrams on top of one another, I think.
I deleted it, is that fine?
That's fine. Yeah, you can delete it too.
Okay.
For my purposes, I typically don't delete things unless I know.
Because it says it's
I'm not gonna use it.
Chicago.
Yeah. Well, I usually just take this. I usually just take this and I throw it off to the side in case for some reason I need a stat file, then I have it there.
Where is path located at?
Path? It is under params, primitive, file path. It should have been preloaded into the one you downloaded. Was it not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now this is the Chino Airport windrows, and what you see on screen is the wind direction for the entire year. So I have no idea when these directions are throughout the year. Yeah.
For mine, it didn't delete the old one. It just replaced it.
Do you have two EPW files connected? Yeah. Okay. So what we can read off of this diagram is that really the only information we can gather from this is that the largest wind speeds on record for a year are coming out of the west. That's pretty much it. We can't really identify when at this point. Okay. Yes.
I thought you didn't want us to connect it straight to the EPW file. I thought you wanted us to use that converter thing.
That's what you said last time.
Because it was reading some different.
The import EPW?
No, because
Which one was I using again?
you didn't delete the other one. Like when you open it, you had that little box where.
This?
That one right there, yeah. We had to use that one first, and then we did the EP file.
Not this one. There was another one. I forget what it was. Yeah. Anyway, so what these are for, the different types of this would be, you can basically have it, these ones that say download EPW weather file, you can actually program in the web address that the EPW file is hosted so that when the data gets updated, anytime you open your file, you have the most up-to-date information.
That's cool. Holy crap.
That's what that's for.
I'm loving Grasshopper more and more each.
Yeah. I can show you guys how to do that. It's pretty simple, I think, but I just wanted to keep it simple for you and just give you the weather data file.
That's
So, I mean, if you want to know, just look at some of the definitions that are on Hydra. Follow along with that. It's really simple. All you have to do is just plug this in. See how this is a web address? You just plug that in, weather file URL, and it opens the EPW file, and you get it from there. That's what that is.
So you open a panel and you put
Well,
that's not a panel. Oh, that's not a panel?
no. Well, these are panels. These are panels. So you have to put the web address in a panel, feed it into the weather file URL, and then you'll get an EPW file out of it. Notice how this one says .epw, and then our file that we referenced says .epw. So that's why it's the same. Any other questions?